Have you ever sat in your favorite chair, the TV softly humming in the background, and realized the room feels too quiet? Like the silence is heavier than it used to be. You reach for your phone out of habit, but there's no one to call. People who used to fill your days, your best friend from school, the neighbor who always dropped by, your spouse. Some have drifted away, others have passed on. And now, the house feels too big, the days too long, and your heart wonders, is this what the rest of life looks like? If you've ever asked yourself that, let me tell you, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not finished, not by a long shot. Being alone after 70 doesn't have to mean being lonely. There's a big difference. One is simply a description of your situation. The other is a feeling that creeps in when you believe the story is over. But what if I told you? This chapter might be the most powerful one yet. Today, we're talking about how to find happiness, peace, and even a little excitement, yes. Excitement when you're living alone and feel like your circle has shrunk to just one, you. We're not going to sugar-coat it. The truth is, losing friends hurts. It's a quiet kind of grief that builds over time. But the good news is, there are real ways to bring joy back into your life, ways that don't require a crowd or even a companion. Just you, your breath, and the quiet decision to keep choosing life. Let's talk about how to build a life that feels good again, one day at a time. And it all starts with something very simple, remembering how to enjoy your own company. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I've been with myself for 70 some years. What more is there to figure out? But here's the thing. Most of us have spent our lives surrounded by others, raising families, working jobs, caring for friends, being busy, needed, and spoken to. We were never taught how to just be with ourselves in a way that feels fulfilling. But once you learn, it can be quietly magical. Try this: take a walk without your phone. Don't rush. Don't have a goal. Just wander, even if it's just up and down the hallway or out to the mailbox. Notice the way the sunlight hits the leaves or how the breeze feels on your skin. These tiny sensory moments are not just fluff. They bring us back to life. It's a reminder you're still here. And that's something worth noticing. And when you come home, instead of turning on the television out of habit, ask yourself, what small thing could I do today that I would enjoy? Not something you think you should do, not something to pass the time, something that actually lights a little spark inside. Maybe it's making a cup of tea just the way you like it. Maybe it's sitting by the window with a pen and writing about a memory from when you were young. Maybe it's playing a piece of music that always made your foot tap. Learning to enjoy your own company is a skill, and it gets better with practice. The more you show up for yourself in little moments like that, the more you realize you're not as alone as you feel. You have you, and that's powerful. Another way to rediscover happiness alone is to reignite your curiosity. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're done learning. In fact, your mind is hungry for newness. It just needs an invitation. Try watching a documentary on something you never knew about. Learn a few words in a language you've never spoken. Order a book that makes your brain stretch. And don't worry about mastering anything. This isn't about becoming an expert. It's about feeling alive. Curiosity keeps the soul awake. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that joy will come overnight. It won't, especially when the nights feel long and the memories come fast. But here's what I do know. When you wake up each morning and say, okay, today I'll find one small thing to enjoy, those small things begin to stack up, and after a while they stop feeling small. You begin to feel it, a soft hum of peace under the surface. A little laugh that bubbles up when the cat does something ridiculous. A quiet pride when you make yourself a good breakfast and eat it slowly. These are not grand moments, but they are real, and they matter. See, happiness after 70 isn't about filling every hour with noise or people. It's about letting your soul breathe again. It's about choosing to notice beauty even when no one else is watching. And it's about treating yourself like someone you actually like being around. So today, just start with one thing. Something small, something gentle, something that feels like a wink from your younger self reminding you, you're still the same spirit underneath it all. You are still here, and that means there's still more living to do. Now let's go a little deeper. There's a strange sort of freedom that comes when the phone doesn't ring and no one knocks at your door. At first, it can feel like silence is closing in around you, but after a while, when you stop fighting the quiet, you might notice something else. Space, breathing room, a wide open canvas, and that brings us to something beautiful, creating new meaning. After 70, many people fall into the trap of thinking that the best years are behind them. Society doesn't help. You're retired, maybe widowed, maybe the kids live far away, and suddenly it feels like your name has been erased from the active roster of life. But let me say this as clearly as possible. You are not a background character in your own story. You're the main character. And that means you can still choose your plot. Creating meaning doesn't always require a huge life overhaul. It can start with a tiny question: what do I care about now? Maybe once you lived for your family, your career, your community. But now that your world is quieter, what still stirs something in you? Maybe it's nature, maybe it's faith, maybe it's writing letters to your grandchildren, even if they don't write back. Maybe it's helping stray animals or tending a garden, planting something that will live on long after you're gone. One man I spoke with, 82 years old, started painting again for the first time since he was a teenager. He said it didn't even matter if the paintings were any good. What mattered was that when he held the brush, he didn't feel invisible. He felt real, present, alive. Another woman, 76, began volunteering at the local food bank. Not for praise, not for busy work, but because it reminded her she still had something to give. She told me, when I hand someone a box of food, I don't think about who I've lost. I think about who I am. This kind of purpose, this quiet, intentional living, is what keeps loneliness from growing roots in your spirit. It doesn't erase your pain or fill the seat at the dinner table, but it gives you a reason to rise in the morning. And sometimes that's all you need to keep going. Now, let's talk about one of the hardest and most healing things you can do: grieving well. Losing your closest friends, especially after 70, is a grief most people don't talk about. We know how to mourn a spouse. We expect sympathy when we lose a sibling. But losing a best friend, the one who knew your secrets, remembered your jokes, and saw you through your youth, can feel like losing a piece of your own soul. And yet, the world doesn't always pause for that kind of loss, but you can. You can give yourself permission to sit with the ache, to cry if you need to talk out loud to someone who isn't there anymore. That's not strange. That's love echoing through time, and it's healing. Pretending you're fine doesn't make you stronger. It makes the hurt hide deeper. There's an odd beauty in grieving. It means that you've loved well. It means your life has been rich. Don't rush through it. Don't judge your sadness. Let it pass through you like a storm, knowing it won't always stay this heavy. And when you've made room for the grief, really felt it, really honored it, something else starts to grow in its place. A quiet strength, a deeper appreciation for the people who are still with you, and the person you've become. Sometimes that person needs to laugh again, and here's where we hit a very real, very human truth. Laughter is not just medicine, it's a lifeline. After 70, you deserve joy. Not just the polite smile at a church luncheon or the tearful chuckle at an old memory, but the full, belly, eyes-watering kind of laugh that makes you forget your age. Watch a funny show. Call that one relative who always makes you crack up. Read a ridiculous novel. Dance terribly in the kitchen. Life is hard enough. Let joy find you even if it feels silly, especially if it feels silly. One woman I know, 88 years old, watches cat videos on YouTube every single morning with her coffee. She says it's better than any medication, and maybe she's right. Joy doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes it's just letting yourself feel good, for no reason other than you're alive today. So here's what I want you to hear loud and clear. Being alone is not a sentence. It's not a punishment. It's a season, and in this season, you have permission to grow new roots, to plant something beautiful, even in the soil of sorrow. To laugh, to cry, to try. You don't need a house full of people to feel connected. You just need to reconnect with yourself. That soul of yours, it still remembers how to bloom. Let's keep going. Some mornings you might wake up and wonder, what's the point today? That's normal. You're not weak for asking, you're human. When the phone doesn't ring and the calendar is blank, the days can stretch out like long empty roads. But here's the truth most people overlook. You get to decide the point of the day, no one else, not your past, not your losses, not your regrets. You, and that kind of freedom, while scary, is sacred. Let's talk about movement, yes, your body. Because here's the kicker. Your mind can't feel alive if your body's been treated like a museum piece. You don't need to run marathons. You don't need gym memberships or trendy yoga mats. Just a little motion every day. Get the blood flowing. Remind your bones that they still carry a spirit worth lifting. Stretch while listening to music. Walk to the end of the block and wave to the sky like an old friend. Put your arms out like airplane wings and spin around like you're 5 years old again. Don't worry if anyone sees you. That's the point. Let them see someone who's not giving up. Someone who's still moving. Still dancing, still choosing life. The more you move, the more alive you feel. Not just physically, but emotionally. You start to believe, maybe I still have a little adventure left in me. And that belief, that's the ember that keeps the fire warm. Now, let's talk about reconnecting not just with others, but with the idea of connection itself. At 70, 80, even 90, you can still meet new people. Yes, really, will it feel awkward at first? Probably. Will some people disappoint you? Absolutely. But that's always been the price of community. And it's still worth it. Start small. Say hello to the cashier instead of rushing through the line. Compliment someone on their garden. Join a free local class or a walking group or even an online forum for people your age who just want to talk. You don't need a crowd. You just need one person to remind you what it feels like to be heard. Even if the connection doesn't last forever, the spark it gives you might. Sometimes the best conversations come from strangers. Sometimes healing starts with someone who doesn't know your past and doesn't expect anything from you but honesty. And here's the wild part. Once you start putting yourself out there again, even in small ways, your heart remembers what it's capable of. And that quiet joy of belonging, it sneaks back in. Let's not forget one of the most underrated joys of being alone. You finally get to be yourself. Think about that. No more pleasing everyone else. No more shrinking your voice to fit into rooms where no one listened anyway. You can wear the weird socks. You can sing off key. You can try something new without asking for permission. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to understand yourself. You get to be your own companion. And if you treat yourself like someone you love, like someone worth laughing with, like someone whose presence is a gift instead of a burden, you begin to believe it. Make yourself breakfast like it's for someone important. Light a candle just for you. Talk to yourself with kindness. Read your favorite book aloud. Laugh at your own jokes. This kind of self-respect builds a foundation that no loneliness can shake. Now, as we come to the close of our time together, I want you to remember something simple and true. You are still needed. You are still worthy of joy, and even in the quietest moments, your life has meaning. The friends who are no longer here, they live in the way you remember them, in the stories you tell, in the way you love others because of how they once loved you. Your story didn't end with them. It just took a new turn. This chapter is yours to write. You don't need an audience. You don't need applause. You just need the courage to wake up each day and say, I'm still here. I still matter. I'm not done yet. So, if you're sitting there right now, wondering if anyone sees you, I see you, and I'm telling you, the world is better because you're in it. Keep going, keep blooming, and keep choosing joy even in the smallest ways. If this message spoke to your heart, share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me something you've done recently just for you, or tell me about someone you miss. I read every word. This channel is a space where your voice matters. And if this video helped you feel a little less alone, give it a like. Subscribe for more encouragement, more real talk, and more hope. Here's to living your best life at any age. Alone doesn't mean unloved. It means free, and freedom, my friend, is a beautiful thing.